Today we're replacing the old worn out winch cable with this brand new synthetic rope. I'm excited about it. I've been restoring this guy over the last couple of weeks. The winch hasn't worked for well over a decade, but we got all the wiring fixed on that. Now it's time to swap out the cable. All right, first thing we need to do is get this old cable off of here. I've gone ahead and put it into the free spool so I can just pull it out. This thing is so rusty. I mean, it's falling apart. Splinters on this thing. So I'm gonna just pull it out. So we're actually gonna be replacing this guy right here with one of these. Let's go ahead and take this off first. So there is so little room to work in here. We've got to get back in this tiny hole. I think I've got to push this out the other side. All right, so all I had to do to get the cable off was to push it and then pull it back out. It came through that hole. Essentially that hole right there, it opens up wider on the other side, and then this squeezes with a little puck behind it that squeezes in and holds it in place. I've seen guys suggest that you go back in here and you sand all that down. Honestly, it feels pretty smooth. There's some corrosion around the sides that I wish wasn't there. I don't really even have much room to get my hands in there, so I'm not gonna do that. At the moment, I've just got this guy shoved in here. I'm actually gonna spin this over to freewheel if I can. It's kind of difficult. I gotta get my hand in places it's not meant to go. There's a little knob on here. I'm going to press it over that way. I'm just trying to rotate it a little bit so I can see the other end of this. There it is. Now that I've got that, I'm going to pull this guy through like that. There's not a really great way for me to do this, at least not the way that Warren tells you to do it. So I'm going to pull a little of this through. I'm going to flip this back over here, and then I'm going to start bringing it in a little bit. I'm sure there's a manufacturer's recommendation on how to do this. This is just how I'm doing it. All right, put that under there. I think that's going to work all right. Now, of course, before we get too carried away, we need to put this guy back in. And as you can see, I went ahead and I fed it through before I actually started connecting the rope. So let's bolt it on. I'm hoping that we can use these same bolts. And I don't know if that's supposed to go up or down. It fits better up, so we're gonna put it up. I don't know how on earth you're expected to keep that from spinning unless maybe there's one with an Allen key, but that's as tight as I can get it. And that's not really okay. I'm gonna have to come back and figure out a solution for that later or buy some more hardware, but for now, let's continue on. Okay, so we've got it on here, and that's about the best place I can think of to hang it. But now, before we do anything else, we need to get this out of here, and then we need to preload the rope with tension. So in order to do that, we are going to spool everything out again. We're going to take it all out with exception to about eight spools or so. And then we're going to use the winch to actually tighten it all back up. Ready to go? All right, so we're over here. We're going to go uphill to this tree. We're going to anchor off of that tree and then pull the mule up to it. So you might be thinking right around this time, Eric, why did you even put it on here in the first place? Great question. I don't know. I think I wanted to make sure that it actually fit. All right. All right, so the engine's running just to keep the battery alive, and now all I'm going to do is spool it in. I think I want to leave my foot on the brake a little bit, pump it a little. That way we're adding more resistance. The whole goal here is to make sure that the the rope isn't like loose and floppy inside the spool, because if that's the case, then as you're putting tension on it, it might suck down inside. If you ever had a weed eater that like stops feeding because the darn thing just like ate itself, like inside the spool, yeah, something like that. So you want to avoid that. Wait till you've got about 10 feet, and then at that point you can take it off, and then you can just do it without the tension. All right, that was way easier than I thought, and it was about 50 bucks in parts. I'll put links in the description below. I'm Eric with East Texas Homestead, encouraging you to live faithfully and prepare thoroughly for good times or bad. If you're interested in more of this sort of thing, check out this video right here, and we'll talk to you on the next one.